I, 35 male, found out my wife, 36 female, was having an affair. Cultivated and developed over 6 months, and she gaslit me and lied the whole time. I know my marriage is unlikely over, but trying to figure out how to weigh the waters and looking for insight as to why. Cross-posting from our relationship advice through a commenter's recommendations. Thank you for your insight. Finding all this out really came as a shock to me. We have been together for 14 years, married for 10, and we have 2 children, 6 and 4. The last thing I ever expected was to find out she was having an affair or would cheat on me. Strap, and for a long one. It started about a year ago. We became friends with a couple who had similar aged children as us, lived close, and we all got along really well. We started hanging out, watching each other's kids, going out as a group quite a bit. Over the coming months, my wife and husband, as they are the primary caregivers to the children, while I and the other wife who worked more hours, started to become closer. They clearly had similar personalities and could just talk and get along. I didn't see a lot of this since it all happened when I was away, and they were doing mutual kid stuff together. I wasn't too worried about it though. I trusted my wife. I never had any reason to doubt her. She always had guy friends throughout our whole relationship. Through the early spring, there were ups and downs for us. She was becoming aware she was somewhat depressed and started going to counseling. She started working out and eventually losing weight. Shortly after starting counseling, she asked me to go to couples counseling. I thought things were fine and I could have said, I think we are okay. Let's see how it goes, and left it at that. She never brought up couples counseling again, and she kept acting like things were good with us. We were still sexually active. Our sex lives throughout our marriage has never been a sore spot, but probably not as active as one would like. We never went more than a month without sex, and rarely more than a week, but I always knew she wanted sex more than me. I had insight into this and found myself asking myself, why don't I have any sex drive? Will this ever get better? And then around this time, I found 2 vibrators she bought without telling me. She was clearly hiding them, but they went off overnight one night. She woke up too that night. The next day, we talked, and my point was to say, why didn't you just talk to me about it? Turns out I was probably depressed too with work and stuff. We moved 5 years ago to her hometown where she had some friends, but not close friends anymore. And I had no friends. I have a good job, I'm a physician, and make good money. But we also spent a lot of money, so I was constantly worried about money too. And that's on me. Throughout her counseling and working out for us, started hanging out more. Felt great. Oh, we finally have friends. I was so happy about it. We started having sex more often and everything felt pretty good in June. We went on a family trip in July, and during the trip, my wife told me the other wife discovered her and his text thread in his phone, and it greatly upset her. She told me it was a large quantity, but nothing inappropriate. There was one time I said I love you like a joke, but it's all just friendly, I was told. She kind of offered to show me the text, but in a you don't want to see the text, do you? kind of way. I had no reason not to trust her at this point and was like, nah, at school, you gave guy friends no big. When we got back, I started getting anxious. I don't know why. I started to feel insecure. I noticed the sex pouch was moving around. The two of them were spending more time together. He had a week of work for the holiday with the kids and summer vacations, and I was working all the time to make up for the trip. As I got more anxious, the text kept coming up, and it turned into, you can't look at a text. That's an invasion of my privacy. She bought him a present a week before my birthday. She had to put together with iron and patches, and that arrived when I was home. I could feel it through the package, and she gave him the next day while I was at work, but then I saw it the day after. My point again, why didn't you just tell me about it? I felt like I was going crazy. Why was I so insecure? Why can't I trust her? Why am I constantly checking Find Your Friends and the nest comes in the house now? I felt like I was being replaced sexually before with the vibrators, then now, I felt I was being replaced as a partner too. And I told her as much. I was a mess. She reassured me they are just friends and nothing is going on. It's just like me and other guy friend. By my PHQ 9 was the upper limit of moderate. I wasn't sleeping or eating, so I made an app with a psychologist and PCP and got started on meds. I have now been going to the therapist every week since August. Before my next guy trip in July, I talked to the wife who I worked with, but she's not a doctor about a text. I started to learn more of the details. There was not just one I love you, but many. Good night, good morning almost every day. Pet names, etc. I was pretty crushed. A week earlier, my wife made out with me in her sleep and said, I love you, pet name, and then fell back asleep. I was confused. I asked her, and she said I was pet name, but after I learned the truth, I clearly wasn't. I talked to my wife about these details the next day. She said she was so depressed, so sad, and so upset with how I had been treating her the last few years, she almost left me. And he talked her out of it. I talked to him for a while too. I told him I'm okay with them communicating, but I love yous and pet names need to stop. They agreed, apologized, and he said he was going to back off too. A few weeks go by, we are all hanging out, and I arrived first and she doesn't really give me a hug or anything. Then they arrived and I just know she's going to hug him ass up. And she does. And I lose my mind. Bad on me. I overreacted for sure. I knew I was doing it and just tried to separate myself to cool off. But she comes and is like, what the fuck is wrong? And we have a fight about it. I know I was in the wrong, but she still came to get it out of me. The next day, the other couple decide among themselves the best thing of their family is to set a boundary that the male and female from our two families no longer communicate privately. I didn't love this because I was starting to be good friends with a female, but I agree. And my wife said it's a BS, but she will respect their wishes. Couple more weeks and we are on a family trip, just us. I oversee that she has been texting him privately and texting a million other people the whole trip. It's really every time she goes to the bathroom or I go, she is on her phone. Eventually I call her out and I was really furious, so much for boundaries, I say. Was that a good day to have this fight? But it happened, and I meant what I said. I was assured they were no longer communicating privately. 3 weeks later, I get a call. She needs to tell me something. The other wife looked at the phone, logs, and the two of them, no longer texting, have now been talking for hours a day. 40 minutes at 4 a.m. on his way to work, 1.5 hours at night, 20 to 40 minutes during lunch, every day. Always when I'm at work. I leave for overnight at 9, 1.5 hour call. If I'm home at night, no call, but call at 4 a.m. Literally every day. I was crushed, betrayed. She lied, like directly lied. We started going to couples therapy finally. She assured me and the therapist they had no more communication. It was over and she was working to rebuild trust so we as a family could be friends again and the kids could have their friends back. Well, a month goes by and one morning on the nest come, I saw my wife taking a workout selfie but with a sexual kind of pose. Later that night, I am able to get on her computer and find her photo stream and find they have been nearly sexting. Not true nudity, but sensual pictures, sexy poses, underwear pics, sensual smiles I have never seen before, going back until August. Also, there are a ton of inspirational quotes about finding your second love, not being able to be with the one you love due to outside circumstances, being with someone who loves you for who you are and not what they want you to be. This is crushing to me. I am devastated. I am so betrayed. She told the counselor they weren't talking. I told the other wife, me and my wife talked. They were using a secret messaging app since before our trip with a big fight. But there was nothing physical, I was assured. How will this time be different? I asked over the next few days. I can't hurt you again. I can't keep lying to you. I found out that she had told him she wanted to run away with him in 5 years when kids are older, or 20 years if she is too. I'm told it was just an escape, a fantasy, but nothing physical. 2 days later, he spills the beans to his wife. They have been kissing since August, since before my hug overreaction. They had sex numerous times, at least 2 to 3. It all made sense now. She would go run errands during the nights. She knew the wife would be at work and either I would be home or she would hire a sitter and she would go over there. The first night she went over, I had feelings because she turned Find Your Friends off and hired a sitter before I got home from work. I asked her the next day and she said no, I went to my friend's house. See, here's this picture I took with her. But this was definitely the first night she went to his house to sleep with him. She made sure to take a picture as an alibi. My wife still didn't tell me about this. We went to couple therapy. She explained the pictures and made a point that nothing physically happened. And then I came out with what I knew. I couldn't hold it anymore. We cried. I was devastated. She was ashamed. However, the next day she went to his work to try and talk to him, to get closure and tell him sorry. He sped away and she followed for a bit, then turned around and called me. But how can I be sure that's what she wanted? How do I know she didn't go to see if there was something left with him and he wasn't just ignoring her because of what his wife made him do? Now, she says she's sorry. She is crushed by what she did too and can't think of anything else. In the meantime, we had another therapy app and we go back tomorrow. We had a long talk about what this means and I think we both know this is heading for divorce. I'm not ever going to get past this. I don't think. I won't be able to trust her again. I can't. Everything I found it because someone else or I discovered it. She told me nothing that someone else didn't already discover through this whole process. I guess I'm looking for some insight into what she might be going through. There's still no transparency. She has changed all her computer and phone/iPad passwords. The therapist asked if she would share her password and she was like, no, it's my privacy. And the therapist was like, oh, you kidding me? If you want any chance for this to work, you need to be 100% transparent. But she still isn't. I don't want to have to ask for everything. At this point, though, I don't even want to know. And I'm asking how to proceed tomorrow and the future. The legal stuff I can work out. I've talked to a lawyer, but timing is tough. Do I tell her tomorrow I want to start the process of in-home separation? We have a guest bedroom. Do I separate our accounts? Everything is joint right now. But I make the majority of the money and everything is going to be split 50-50 in the end. So, would this just make things acrimonious? Do I continue to just hold until our next couple session in January, after the holidays?